Welcome everybody, it's Salmon. In this video we are going to be talking about if Zombies Chronicles is happening before or after the events of Revelations. And now this is actually a really interesting topic because a lot of people have been bringing up lately, and a lot of people have been arguing that it's happening before and these are just the original maps and any change to them is just because of bleeding universes or something along those lines. And other people are just saying that they aren't exactly the same ones, and there's no just bleeding universes just because these are actually affected because of Revelations, rather be it they're different universes entirely, or that it's just affected because of the loop happening over and over again. And these are actually really cool explanations, but I don't actually agree completely with either of them because I actually believe that Revelations has and will happen, and I'll explain myself in a second. But first things first, I want to actually explain why people are actually bringing this up in the first place. And there's actually quotes talking about the blood vials in a map when they're actually not supposed to be even mentioned, talking about origins, because we have a quote from Dempsey actually saying, wait, do I have the blood vials or something along those lines, which is very interesting because that quote really shouldn't be there inside Origins, because Dempsey really just shouldn't know about any blood vials. Maybe he saw the blood vials on Richtofen or something like that. Maybe he could say something like that, but talking about his own blood vials, that just doesn't make sense. And there's something even more interesting about this quote that I'll get to back in a little bit. But the next one is that people bring up is that the Gobblegums are now in these older maps, so they must be newer ones or a repeat or something like that. And I don't really have too much to say on that, so we'll go over it for now. And I just want to touch on this real fast. I probably won't return to it, but I just want to touch on it, and just for you guys to know I didn't forget about it. But there is something very interesting, and it's that our Ultimus group is inside Vrucht and not Sterntoten, which I can't explain, so I'm not really going to bring it up, but it's just something that's been bothering me, and I wanted to find a way to explain it inside this video, but I just couldn't. But anyways, I actually want to play you two radio quotes from Monty, the first one being from Origins.
You have to remember, the order in which you experience things doesn't necessarily reflect the order in which they happen.
So I didn't play you guys a whole radio because I just wanted to focus on the part that's important to this video or relevant to this video, because the rest is really irrelevant. But what he just said inside the video is just that you have to remember that things don't happen in the way that you experience them, which is very interesting. And I think this actually will play a very big part in explaining when Revelation is happening from the perspective of all these other universes. But before I can do that, I want to actually play you guys the Monty Moon radio. So as you guys heard in that quote, of course, just a part of it, not the entire thing, but we do hear that Monty talks about how the moon was destroyed, but he has/will make a new moon. It's very interesting to see that Monty is saying that he has/will make a new moon, and I think there's a really cool explanation for this that I'll get into in just a second. But before, I want to go back to that Origins radio, and this is actually really interesting. I want to do a slight explanation of this, and you have to remember that things aren't happening in the order that we perceive them, and there's a really cool explanation for this, because you have to remember these are happening in different universes, and you have to remember also that these universes aren't exactly all happening at the same time. They're not happening at the exact same dates at the same time. It's not the same day that's happening exactly the same way, because Dimension 63 in the original timeline, who knows when they actually started. Dimension 63 could have started forever ago. It could have been created way before, or started, however you want to say it, a couple billion years before the original timeline even was born in the first place. It could have already been all the way through all of the events of Dimension 63, and now we're just kind of jumping back in time, technically, I guess, to go into these other universes. Same thing with the fractures, which I'm pretty sure is the best explanation, because the fractures are kind of something that just happened because of something that our characters tried to meddle with when they went to the original timeline, and those were just created at that point, so that's why they don't really have a past or anything to them. So just hopefully you guys have an understanding that these timelines aren't happening at the same time. They have their own timelines that are separate, and our characters are just jumping between them, and they don't really have to be happening at the same time or not. So hopefully you guys have an understanding of all the different universes happening at a different time. But back to the moon radio, and I think this one will explain it the best, and it would really give a proper explanation when Revelations is exactly happening. And I will give you the exact same answer Monty gave us when he was talking about when he has created a moon, because he has/will create a moon. And this is actually really interesting. I think the same exact thing is happening with Revelations. I think that Revelation has/will happen when has/will happen from the perspective of moon or whatever map you're on. Doesn't matter which map in Zombies Chronicles Chronicles you're on, it has / will already happen. And the reason I think this is the case is because if you go back to that timeline, if you look at it, the original timeline is dated from the start all the way to the end. Dimension 63 is dated all the way from the start to the end. The fractures start to the end, all dated. But Argartha is never dated. Argartha has no dating at all. And this leads me to believe that Argartha doesn't have a proper dating system. It doesn't actually go through time the same way all the other maps happen. And that's why Monty has / will made the moon, because Argartha really doesn't go by time. Argartha has its own separate thing. Everything's happening maybe at once. Everything's happening at the same time. So he can have already made the moon and not made the moon at the same time, because there's just no way of telling time. And I really think this is a really cool explanation for also Revelations, because Revelations also took place in Argartha, so it has to have and will happen at the same time. It's a really cool explanation. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying here, but I think it's a brilliant explanation if this is what they're going with, because if the moon has / will be made in Argartha, because of course he's probably talking about his perfect universe, which of course is in Argartha, then why wouldn't the same thing happen with Revelations? Because Revelations is also taking place in Argartha, so it has / will happen already, and it's a really cool concept. But that's pretty much my explanation for Zombies Chronicles happening before or after Revelations, and like I said, it has and will happen before Zombies Chronicles, and in fact that applies to all Zombies maps. But that's about it for my explanation of it. But one thing I want to say real quick, and I just want to kind of touch on the gobblegums and the quotes, why they're there, because I didn't really touch on them. I just really brought those up as just talking about why people believe in either way. But I want to talk about why I think the gobblegums are inside the older maps now, because of course, like I said, there's financial reasons. I don't know if I said that before, but Activision probably just wanted to make some money. But I do think Treyarch would like to explain it, so I do think they're going to just play that off as bleeding universes, because you remember that the gobblegum machines didn't appear until the fractures, but now they're appearing on all the other maps because the fractures are bleeding into all the other maps when they were actually created and all that good stuff. Same thing with the quote, especially that Blood Vials quote that actually first happened in the Argartha timeline, because surprisingly that exact same quote, and this is what really confirmed it for me that I really believe that these are just bleeding universes, is because the exact same quote that we heard inside Origins is literally stripped from Revelations and put in there. It's word for word, everything is exact, and I would know because I've listened to every single quote from Revelations, and I've heard that quote. I even have it saved in its own thing. I believe I have a video just on it talking about all the storyline quotes from Dempsey. If you guys want to check out my video, hopefully I'll be able to find it. But I just think those are just bleeding universes, and like I said, that Varuk Notch thing with our Ultimus crew in there, I have no idea what that is. I don't think that could be played off as bleeding universes. Just for everyone can understand, I do believe there's a lot of bleeding universes, but that one I do not think is bleeding universes. I don't know what that is at all. I don't think bleeding universes is enough to have people who were never there somehow be there now. They're more slight things with memories and things just appearing in there. But hopefully that didn't add too much to the video, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you actually found it interesting, go ahead and thumbs up. Also, if you guys have any ideas on this, you have anything to add on, did I make a mistake anywhere, anything like that, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section. But if you guys want to stay tuned for more content similar to this, go ahead and subscribe. But I'm gonna go, and I will catch you guys on my next video.